IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I'm Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today we're going to be talking about skincare and in particular, the routines that you should follow during the morning, during the evening, during the afternoon. What are the various habits that you can inculcate in your life? And this can vary across your age, where you are, your skin type. So we're going to have a blanket approach. And with us, we have an expert in skincare, Chris Gibson, and he's going to talk to us about these routines. So Chris, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Glad to be here.
So Chris, when we think about habits that we have for skincare, let's take it, through the day. So what are the morning routines and habits that people should follow for skincare? Are there blanket things like that?
Yeah, a general morning routine is going to be similar for most everybody, with the exception of maybe specialized treatments for certain issues you might have. And the first step is always going to be cleansing. You want to cleanse in the morning. Now, if you have super dry skin and you've cleansed the night before, oftentimes I will tell people what I learned from my dermatologist works very well. Rather than re-washing your face, just using a warm washcloth to steam the skin and get some of that older product off from overnight. That's dry skin. If you have oily skin, you definitely want to cleanse again in the morning. But oily skin types need to use a creamy cleanser that's not going to remove too much of the oil. Your skin should always feel moist and refreshed and clean, not tight and dry. Squeaky clean is not good. That means that the face wash that you're using is too harsh. If you have dry skin, that's a problem. So you want to make sure that you really pay attention to that. Dry skin needs to be using a face wash that does not have sulfates in it. So, a lot of times face washes are kind of hard because they kind of label just straight out. So I tell people the face wash that gets your skin the cleanest without it being dry and tight, either way, dry skin or oily skin, is the best way to go. There are some very clear face washes out there that work both for they're gentle on the skin, like Aveeno brand has an oatmeal-based clear foaming cleanser. So you kind of have to test out, you may have to test out a few to get it just right. But if your skin is clean and it doesn't seem extra oily later, if you have oily skin, or it's not that dry, tight feeling, then your face wash is right. The next thing in a daytime routine that I recommend for most everyone is to use some sort of vitamin C serum, because vitamin C is high in antioxidants as a serum. It's usually well tolerated by most skin types. It helps prevent free radical damage and protect your outer layers of skin from irritants, dirt, pollution, toxins in the air, and us touching our face all the time. So usually the step right after cleansing is serums. Whether that be a vitamin C serum or a glycolic acid, there are exfoliating serums, skin brightening serums like lactic acid and glycolic acid. That's always next. Then
right in the morning when you wake up, right?
Yes. Then your next treatment or your next step in your skincare routine is always going to be like your eye creams or spot treatments. If you're treating age spots, say for instance, there are age spot treatments like creams that you would use first, with moisturizer being that next step, that last step, a light day moisturizer that has hyaluronic acid as an ingredient along with other humectants. You don't want to necessarily use hyaluronic acid serum alone, especially if you're in a dry climate, because hyaluronic acid, even though our skin produces that anyway, draws moisture. So it's very beneficial for people here in Florida like me, because there's tons of moisture in the air. But if you live in, say, Arizona or a very dry climate, it can actually pull moisture out of your skin and make it drier. So you always want to be very mindful of that with that particular ingredient, although it is a great skin humectant. If you have really dry skin, then you might want to use a day moisturizer that contains ceramides. And ceramides are fatty lipids that help build up our lipid layer, which is the layer of fats in the skin that, again, protect you from the outside environment, help hold moisture in, and just keep all the bad stuff out. So depending on what your dry skin or oily skin, you still want to moisturize, because by using that hyaluronic acid moisturizer, you're telling your skin it doesn't need to produce as much oil. A lot of people skip that because they think, that's going to be a problem. Now, if you have acne issues and breakouts, your treatments for those would go before your moisturizer as well. So like if you're using, usually the moisturizer has those treatment ingredients in it, but things like salicylic acid, adapalene, which is a retinoic acid or retinol that helps produce a decrease in skin breakouts, both for rosacea and acne, would go on before any outside moisturizer. And then the last thing in the daytime, sunscreen, of course. You've got to protect your skin from the sun. I usually recommend zinc type sunscreens because they've come a long way now. They don't leave that white cast on your skin anymore. They've been able to figure out how to tint them and mix them with other ingredients to help break those molecules down. Still give you protection, but they're not greasy when they sit on the skin. So, right. But sunscreen, very, very important. Nighttime, it's a little bit different. Mm-hmm. Definitely never want to miss washing your skin at night because you've got a day's worth of toxins, pollutants, irritants on your skin. You want to make sure you cleanse that off. If you're a person who wears cosmetics, making sure we get all that makeup off using a micellar water to help. It's an ionized water. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like fizzy water. Okay. But it helps break down that makeup and make it easier to remove. You want to make sure you get all of that off. We want the skin to be a clean canvas before we start with our nighttime routine. Again, same thing. Oily skin, you want to make sure that you're using a cleanser that removes the oil, but it's not too harsh. It's usually a foaming cleanser. And again, if you have dry skin, you want to use some sort of creamy cleanser that's refreshing and doesn't leave your skin dry. Then again, we're going to do serums, peptides. You wouldn't do glycolic acid in the morning and again at night. You don't use vitamin C in the morning and again at night. You would use your peptide serum, something, hydrating, a Giroline. There are a lot of different serums for nighttime.
What's the basis of selecting a serum for nighttime? Like, what is the
It depends on what your need. Yeah, it depends on what your needs are. The peptides are something that your skin cells need anyway to help produce collagen, but applied topically to the skin, they help tighten up the bond between the skin cells, giving your skin the ability to hold in more moisture. It actually helps your other products work better because then you're going to want to apply a retinol, which there's two different ones. So I'll explain. There's a retinol, retinol or retinoic acid. All of that is retinoids. Okay. That's basically there. So there's tretinoin, which is the prescription strain of that. Below that are the retinol with an O, which are moisturizers. And they are varying strengths, but they're not nearly as close to the strength of a prescription. And then there is retinol, which is retinaldehyde, which turns into retinoic acid on the skin. Now, a lot of people have to acclimate to retinols because there's a conversion process that usually goes on from the retinol to retinaldehyde, then into retinoic acid. And it's that conversion process that the ingredients go through on your skin that cause the irritation usually. So you can now get retinol, which is with an A, I'm going to make this hard, which is just retinoic acid, which only has one step and it causes a lot less irritation for people and works extremely well. The retinoic acid, which is what your skin is using, helps to repair skin cells, remove damaged DNA skin cells. It seeps down through the skin and helps boost collagen production over time. So I always, since we're talking blanket statements or blanket skincare routines, the big deal here is patience and consistency to see results. And then, of course, at night, you want a nighttime moisturizer. Again, if you have oily skin, that same hyaluronic acid light moisturizer is all you need. If you have dry skin problems, CeraVe or some brand that has ceramides built into that, the fatty acids built into the moisturizer is going to be helpful for your skin overnight. While we sleep, our skin goes through a repair cycle. So it's very important we try to get enough rest, but that is when all of the work is being done in many areas of the body, but especially the skin. We see repair. That's why when you have cuts or something that's healing, a lot of times you go to bed, you wake up the next day, it looks a lot better. Correct. Because the body's been able to concentrate its energy on that repair. So really, really important to have a good, foundational routine in place for that.
So there's truth to the whole beauty sleep aspect of it, right? Sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, it's actually true.
So, Chris, when people talk about, I want that, porcelain skin, or you have a glow, when they use these kinds of words, what are the things that they're actually meaning? in terms of the things that we can do for either creating that glow or that porcelain looking skin? What are the aspects that are important?
Yeah, usually what happens when people feel like their skin is dull is that there's a microscopic layer of dead skin cells that are sitting on the skin that need to come off. Now, when we're younger, in our teens and 20s, and even infants, obviously, your skin cells are renewing at a pretty quick rate, and you're losing the old ones at a pretty quick rate. So we don't notice too much aging with dynamic and static wrinkles. We don't see too much of that. Usually till our mid-20s, we start to see the little lines staying on the corners. But we do notice that the skin seems to be a little less shiny, less robust, rosy, I guess, as you would say. Mm-hmm. So it's important to have an exfoliation step in your skincare routine starting in your 20s. I learned this from my dermatologist way back, to help improve that. Now, if you're in your 20s and 30s, you can use something called a buff puff. Actually, you can use that at any age, but that's really all you need. In your 20s is
Can you repeat that again?
It's a sponge.
Okay.
For your face, a buff, B-U-F-P-U-F.
Buff puff. Okay, I heard butt puff.
It's like a loofah. It's like a loofah sponge, but it's much finer material. Mm-hmm. And you just lightly use that with your face wash, and it lifts that very microscopic layer of skin off. Mm-hmm. It's going to give your skin a much better, rosier glow. Now, as we get older and that process of sloughing off skin cells slows down, we want to add things like a glycolic acid serum to help speed that cellular turnover. What the glycolic acid actually does is alpha hydroxy acid. It breaks the bond between the old skin cell that's stuck to the new skin cell. So it sort of helps get those to come off more quickly. Mm-hmm. I've been using AHA since I was 23, which has been very helpful to me. They're well tolerated. It's usually made from fruit sugar, just so you know. Mm-hmm. There's also lactic acid, which is made from milk sugars. Mm-hmm. And it can also help exfoliate. So a lot of products and creams for that, brightening creams. The vitamin C serum will also help starting in your late 20s, 30s, 40s, and onward. What it helps to do is helps balance out that melanin production so you get a very even look to your skin tone. That's the other thing that usually people notice. It's dull and it's darker here, lighter here, darker over here. It helps kind of even that out, again, speeding up that cellular turnover, but also helping to disperse a lot of that melanin that's in those outer cells. Then, of course, you can use a retinol, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which over time will actually help speed that cellular turnover back to a point where probably your late 20s and your early 30s, you can get pretty much that same level. Mm-hmm. It also is helping the cells that you're replicating while it's working be healthier or younger. It helps reduce that melanin production or overproduction from sun damage and can help reduce help remove damaged cells from the skin. So there are a lot of things you can do. Now, in the meantime, you can use products that have a glow property to them. A lot of the Korean skincare uses fermented rice water, which tends to give the skin kind of a glow when it's mixed in those ingredients mixed in those products. Mm-hmm. Helps the skin look kind of that porcelain look. That there are also all kinds of cosmetic products that have a glow. They're not really a bronzer. The particles are much, much smaller, but can give that skin kind of a star filter glow.
Interesting.
So you can approach it from all those different ways, but really that is the biggest. If you have dark circles or dark areas, you can use a concealer over those areas. Even guys without a foundation, they're BB creams or what those are called. And you can use that, which will even that out and kind of give your skin that even glowy look without it looking like makeup. So there are a lot of ways to approach it. But basically, it's a problem of old skin still being left on. If you have a lot of photo aging later, your 40s, 50s, and 60s, then sometimes it's good to go for a deeper skin peel. Mm-hmm. Usually an in-office peel will do it if it's a lot of damage. If you have a lot of wrinkling, a lot of sun damage, you want to have that done by a professional. But there are many at-home peels that will work for most people that have just a fair amount of photo aging, that have like a trichloric acid TCA pills. There's phenol peels. There are oxidation high strength glycolic acid peels, like 24, 25, 30% are going to help peel that skin off. And so there are different levels of that. There's where you apply something and the skin flakes off over days. You don't really notice it, no downtime. With those deeper in-office peels, there is downtime.
It takes a long time to recover.
That's the Hollywood peels. It's the
it.
Hollywood peels we see in the tea where the people's skins are like hanging off.
Right.
It's not quite that. It's not quite that bad. But it does oxidize the outer 2 or 3 layers of the surface of the skin. So the skin that is revealed underneath is very new looking, and it can reduce a lot of sun damage and wrinkling. So lots of options for that.
Very interesting. We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Hey everybody, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Varun talks to the co-founder of Sleepy Owl Coffee, Arman Sood, about how he markets coffee to a generation that was raised on drinking tea. On Postcards from Nowhere, Utsav narrates an intriguing story that connects Shimla, rare books, and the American Declaration of Independence. On Agla Station Adulthood, meet writer Priyam Saha. She tells Ritasha and Ayushi about the overly romanced concept of life in the city. On a show about crypto, Rohan figures out what Web 3.0 is with the co-founder of Vault, Darshan Bhatija. And on Smarter with Sid, Siddharth takes us through the journey of the BlackBerry and what its future is. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms you're listening to us on. And you can also check us out on YouTube. You can have a list of all of our shows at ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Bank of Baroda and CoinSwitch Kuber.
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation. You know, it's so interesting that we are having this conversation. And out here, especially in India, there's a big, men don't focus on their skincare at all, right? Or from that perspective, right? What is it that they can start doing? Or is there a mindset shift that men need to make in order to start taking care of their skin?
Well, I think it happens. It just happens way late. I think there's a point where they go out. And for most guys, the biggest thing is going to be sun protection and exfoliation. When you don't take care of your skin at all, there's a tendency for the outer layers to get thickened, while the lower layers, where you produce collagen and the fat layer under the surface of the skin, gets thinner. So we get that kind of tough, I call it man hands. The guys get the really heavy. I'd never wanted that. I always hated that. I can remember being a kid in church and having to shake out these deacons' hands. They were like paws coming out from like the Harry Potter movie, and I thought, I never want my skin. This is as a kid. I never want my skin to be like that. It's just nasty. So exfoliation, and for guys, and most of the ladies I've come across have got this now, but it's also your neck, your chest, top of your arms, your hands, protecting that from the sun. A good exfoliation, that Puff Puppy talked about, sugar scrubs, which I'm sure are available in your country. Sugar scrubs are real, they're all natural, and they're not going to tear your skin. Very good to just get that old stuff off. There's a towel called a Goshi towel. Okay. It's an exfoliation towel. I use one. You keep them in the shower. They're long, so you can get them behind your back like this, and they exfoliate all that skin off for you, and your skin feels amazing. And that's something a guy can do that's not, be too weird. You should have it in the shower anyway, because you're going to take a shower or bath or whatever. Those work really well. They're reusable. They last a couple of months, maybe 3 months. So they're well worth the money. I love them. I gave them out this year during the holidays as gifts because everybody's like, what do you want? Give us skincare. I'm like, well, I'm going to give you something you'll actually use. Because, skincare, when you're giving skincare, that's hard because it gets such a personal thing.
Right.
And the other thing is that guys need to address things when something is weird. If you've got a place on your skin that's weird, or a mole, or something that's suddenly growing, or it's discolored, you need to go have that checked. Guys are way, way, way more likely not to do anything about that until it's a problem where they're going to have to cut it out of you. So you want to do that. And it doesn't, I get the question, does it matter how darkly complected your skin is? No, it doesn't, because a damaged skin cell is a damaged skin cell. And, it's the same for everybody. While the darker complected, you do have some more initial protection from the sun, but it's not, it's not everything. You're still, if you're getting darker, your skin is responding to sun damage. So you're not just okay that way. So really that's it in moisturizing. So for guys, if I could get them to do anything, and I have a lot of guys, about 50% of my followers are guys. I always say exfoliation, hydration, and sun protection. If I can get you to do just those things, and you don't want to do anything else, that's perfect. I mean, that's enough to at least keep your skin in good check, because men have the same issues as women when they get older with that skin tears, that damage on the skin. You think about this, it's like a paper bag. So the outside of your skin is rough and tough, but underneath is weaker. And so that tough skin just rips open. It's really quite a nasty thing. And that's a very common thing in the elderly, easy bruising, all of that stuff. So, and I don't know of any guy that it wants to have to deal with that. So, that usually gets across. So, and it's never too late to start, and you set a good example for your children, because you don't want your children to suffer skin issues. And it's just, it's such a passionate topic of mine with the guys, because it's so hard to get them to do. Just like you said, to get them to think about that is something that they really need to concentrate on. That's not a female or feminine or any of that. It's a personal, I think of it as hygiene. It's like brushing your teeth. You want to take care of your body so that it can take care of you into your later years, because it's not about living longer. It's about living better as you get older, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what people mistake about anti-aging and longevity. It's about being kick-ass when you're older. It's not about just how much age you can add to your years. So I think that's so important. Are you kicking ass? Are you improving year by year? And I remember this as a goal that I'd set for myself, which was that every year I want to age backwards. It was a very nice concept, because when I started my fitness journey, I looked like I was 50 because I was overweight. I lived on sugar practically. So I knew what my face looked like. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and how much exercise changes your skin.
Oh, dramatic.
Because you are building your cardiovascular system to help carry more oxygen and nutrients to the surface of your skin. That's why when people don't exercise, the fitness side of what I do, I always tell them, you're going to feel stinginess, this prickly, itchy, that's your capillaries opening up. That's why you get the red splotches. It's your capillaries are opening back up and getting the nutrients, and oxygen is going in ways that has not gone to that area of your body before.
Right.
So that's actually good. Don't stop that itchy, tingly feeling. So, your skin is like any other organ. It's going to respond well to good diet, good fitness. It's going to respond well to good skincare routines that don't have to take up your whole day. I mean, they don't. But again, the biggest thing for guys for me is, one, waiting to do it, and two, not addressing things that happen that are weird.
I think that's an important one.
A lot more guys die from skin cancer than women.
Yeesh.
So, it's a problem.
Yeah. So Chris, last question on this topic, which is on eyes. They say eyes are the window to the world, right? How do you make your eyes pop?
Pop.
What are the routines and habits that you should do for your eyes?
Yeah, it's funny because it's the video that I'm shooting later today is how to have younger eyes.
Oh, lovely. There you go.
So that's funny that you would totally bring that up. Really, it's when it comes to the eyes, the first thing to understand is eye skin is very thin. We have not nearly as much fat around our eyes. It also, that area of skin has the least amount of oil production or oil pores, if you want to call it that, of anywhere on the body. So the number one thing is hydration around the eye area, making sure that you use it. Now in your 20s and 30s, your moisturizer is going to do that for you. But as you get older, you need better humectants with ceramides to make sure that fatty layer is protected, getting enough sleep, addressing things like allergies, so you're not rubbing your eyes all the time. That's a thing that I'd be talking about. Using products that, if you have the dark circles, there's not a whole lot. When it comes to dark circles, it's not a whole lot you can do if it's hereditary and you just thinner and it's the blood vessels you can see. You have to use a concealer. I tell people the truth. There's nothing you're going to do for that. However, if it's because you haven't been sleeping, Yes. Using a serum that has caffeine is very helpful around the eye area, especially if you have the droopy eyelids, because what it does is it tightens those capillaries and it pulls the skin up a little bit.
Okay.
There are red light therapy devices. Even Skin has one called the Venus that actually does the red light and microcurrent across the muscles around the upper part of your eye that actually can pull the eyelid back up.
Interesting.
Sometimes you need surgery, though. I'm very honest about that. If it's really bothering you, and the topical products for eye creams with retinol, same thing as for the rest of the skin, are not helping you over time, you give it 6, 7, 8 months, a year, and you're still not happy, then having that surgery, and it's not a full eye lift, it's just where they go in and they either take out the extra fat that has accumulated or they just tighten that area. They can do that with lasers now. So yeah, there's a lot you can do. For me, I don't have a lot of aging around the eyes, but I've been very observant and on that for most of my life. And I've always made sure that I use a retinol eye cream. I use an eye cream in the morning and an eye cream at night. They're not heavy. It's just an extra step. I take care of my eyes. I go see the eye doctor so they don't have a lot of eye strain, squinting, not wearing your sunglasses when you're out in the sun. All of that takes all these dynamic wrinkles, which are the ones we make when we make a face, that go away. Right. When we get older, they don't go away. And then we get really upset because they're not going away. So we get the number 11 wrinkle.
Oh, it's called the number 11 wrinkle? The one between your
eyebrows. The number 11 wrinkle.
Right.
I learned that. That's not something I knew. I learned that from my subscriber. Oh, the number 11. I'm like, is that what you guys call that? Okay, whatever. 11's a really good number. It's supposed to be lucky. But anyway, so a lot of this, same thing around the lips as an area that gets the same type of problem. So you want to make sure to treat those areas, keep them hydrated. But really, I think the thing that leads to the most aging around the eyes is squinting. And that's looking at your phone, looking at your computer. Not getting your eyes checked, having vision that is not good, not resting your eyes. Things you can do to instantly improve tea bags. You mentioned green tea earlier. Did you mention matcha?
No, I didn't.
You mentioned matcha?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. I think you said matcha. All right. So anyway, matcha tea, green tea is really good in a tea bag that's been made and then cooled. So placing the caffeine and the coolness of the tea bag will help reduce a lot of that puffiness. So you can do derma rolling, microneedling. I would let a professional do this in the getting your eye, but right just across the top of the brow will help thicken the skin. But really that retinol eye cream over time is going to help tighten and thicken all of that back up.
All right.
And of course, we talked about red light therapies.
Correct.
Most of those masks get the eye area as well. So there are a lot of things you can do. For red eyes, and I don't know that this product is available everywhere, but we've heard of Visine and things to get the red out of your eyes. So there's a product called Lumify, which is much gentler on the eye than Visine, but it really does take that redness out. It actually calms inflammation on the membrane of the eye. So it's not just shrinking the capillaries, it's actually soothing your eye. And of course, a clear white of the eye makes you look a lot younger and a lot healthier. So, yeah.
Lovely. Brilliant. Chris, thank you so much for coming on the Habit Coach podcast. How can people reach out to you? What are your various handles? Where can people get out and continue this conversation with you?
Well, obviously YouTube, which is behind me, is the primary way that people find me now. So it's just Chris Gibson. You can type in Chris Gibson and any skincare issue in the YouTube search bar or Google, and up comes a video. I have 400 of them.
Wow.
And there's also a blog called Skin So Fabulous, which all of that information is all in every description of every video. I have my social media. It's Chris Gibson Friends on Facebook, and it is Skin So Fabulous on Instagram, and Chris Gibson Friends on Instagram. So TikTok, I now have a TikTok too.
Woohoo!
I just started that.
Dance and do a skincare routine. Absolutely.
Skincare by Chris. His TikTok's got to be different a little bit. So I'm everywhere, really, if you look for me. So, but YouTube is where you're going to get the most resources next to the blog, the Skin So Fabulous blog, and all that stuff's free, obviously. And I do respond to my questions and comments.
Brilliant.
On those platforms.
You had mentioned a book. Is it still in print?
Yes. Yep. Acne Free in 3 days. is
wow.
the name of it.
In 3 days, really?
Acne-free in 3 days, how I cleared my own acne condition in 3 days. No over-the-counters, no prescriptions. I talked about that book for 5 years on television. Yes. But the good news is if you go to my website, which is chrisgibsonlive.com, which again is linked to all the other places, you can get the ebook version of that free.
Okay. Wow. All right. Perfect.
So you don't have to pay for it. Because I'm going to do a new skincare book. So I try people, you can buy them. You can absolutely. You can buy them on Amazon, the regular places. But I give it free now because it's served its purpose, and now new generations of stuff coming out. Even the light there, there's even light therapy for acne now, which is like purple blue light that helps kill the bacteria that causes it. So
these masks actually have them, right? They have different color schemes.
Yeah, I have one that I use that I tested out by Cure, Qure, and that one has all of the different modalities, and it has red light therapy. It has that blue purple light for acne bacteria. That's amazing. And then blue photon therapy, all of that stuff. So, and it has an app for your phone. So they're really coming along with these. It just keeps getting better and better and better. But if I have one thing to tell everybody, it's consistency. You got to be consistent. Just like in weight loss, fitness, and anything else, you've got to be consistent with your skincare if you want to get results.
Yeah.
So
you have to make them habits, and that's why this podcast, absolutely.
Make a habit.
Lovely. Chris, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Awesome.
If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood,
get accustomed to womanhood,
enjoy the experience of sisterhood,
might get to wifehood,
or not, choose motherhood,
or not. You'll learn to define your personhood,
earn a livelihood,
change the neighborhood,
and get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Natasha,
and me, Ayushi,
on a journey from station starting point
to station, what now?
Next station, Pudil station, and hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.
A wise man once said, traveling, it makes you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller.
Well, listen to such travel stories and experiences exploring India on the Musafir Stories with us, Saif and Faiza.
Catch us on the IVM website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.